Howdy, PT37 here. Today on Reloaded Thoughts, I want to talk about 44 Magnum rifles, Magpul stocks, and 357 Magnum for hunting. So I'll start off with 357 Magnum because that's what I'm loading. I got 10 gone because I loaded 10 to test out with a different powder charge. So I'll just get into that. So for hunting, I want to try it for hunting this year because I got a, well, let me move it out of the way here. It's a Henry Model X 357. I got my rugged Obsidian 9 suppressor on it in a Vortex Viper 1-4. It's a really nice little setup. Anyway, that Model X is a really nice little setup. And my oldest daughter, she's old enough to finally, understand the concept of shooting and stuff. I let her shoot the other day. I started her on my 22 bolt action. She done good with that. And then I moved her up to that rifle with the 38 in it. She done fine with that too. So then I threw a reduced Magnum in there. It wasn't, it was still a Magnum. A friend of mine, he's got a similar setup, and he was loading 13.7 grains of accurate number 9 with a 158 grain bullet and getting 1650 out of his rifle. So a little bit of a step up, like in velocity over a revolver, but still, pretty low velocity compared to what you can get with a lot of 357s out of the rifle. So I thought, well, I'll try those just to make sure it's not too bad on her. So I loaded up 10 of those just to try out, and I let her shoot one of those, and she handled it just fine, shot what she was aiming at. And then I put in one of my full bore Magnums that I haven't chronographed that specific load, but a similar load that I did the video on. It got 1900 feet per second out of there. So I let her shoot one of those, and she couldn't tell the difference with the recoil. So these ones I want to load up with the H110, and so use this data at your own risk, but I will show you the data I got. All right, so this comes out of an old Spear manual. This is a Spear reloading manual number 10. I don't know when the heck it was made. 1981, early 80s, I think. Alright, so 357 Magnum with a 158 grain hollow point. There is H110. I don't know if you can see it here, but H110, the max is 17.8. So I know this is an old manual. They may have reformulated the powder a little bit since then. But I've reloaded 17.6 grains, and so I'm a little off of that, and that's why I'm loading with these. So I do have book published data. Now you won't find any new data that's even close to that. I think my Hornady book, it maxes out at 16 or 16 and a half, something like that, and then Hodgdon's pretty much the same way, I think. So that's the hottest data I can find for H110 or 296 with the 357 Magnum. So now that being said, it's still not no barn burner. I still think there's room to run as far as the load's concerned, but that's good book published data that gives me good velocities. So I just stick with that for the most part. These are the same loads that got over 1300 feet per second out of my 4-inch mountain gun. So I was very impressed with that. And in that video, if you've watched that video, I talk about, last time I shot this load in my 6-inch GP100, I got like the same velocity, maybe 10 or 20 feet per second more, which is surprising. So I don't know, I want to shoot these through my GP100 again and see if maybe I'm dreaming or something, but I'm pretty sure last time I chronographed these, it was like 1350 out of my 6-inch, and I was getting like, I got a 1300 and then like two 1360s out of my 4-inch. So I need to do that again just to make sure I'm thinking right. But I'm pretty sure I only got like 1350 out of my 6-inch. So I'm going to try to get my daughter on a deer this year using that Henry. I think it'll be great. She's got a little 44 Magnum carbine. That would be great too, but I don't know. I still think, I mean, I could reduce some loads for it, but it won't fit a suppressor. And it's open sights. It's a Rossi, so it's got the top eject. So, I mean, I could put a scope on it, but it would just be a weird setup. And I don't want to do that. Given that this 357, she can shoot full bore magnums out of it. And she can handle the recoil. Not that there is any. And it's got a low power optic on it, so she can see through it. And it's a lot easier for her to understand. And it's also got the suppressor on it, so it's not going to be loud. So I think it's just a perfect, you know, kid gun. But I'm going to try it too. I got some 180 grain bullets that I want to try out for me. See how they do. And I haven't shot any 180s out of that yet. So I want to try those out, see how they do out of it. Thinking about 44 Magnum, like I mentioned, she's got a carbine. That's her gun, so I don't want to cob onto it, even though as much as I'd like to. But I'm thinking about getting me a 44 Magnum rifle of some sort, and I just can't decide what to get. I'm going back and forth between a Ruger 7744. They just kind of revamped them a little bit recently, and they are threaded now, which I love, because I don't have a 45 caliber suppressor yet, but I plan on getting one down the road. So that would be cool to suppress it eventually. Or I'm thinking about a Marlin lever action. I would consider Henry. I like the Henrys I got. Well, I got one Henry, I guess. But I like it pretty well, that Henry X. But if you look at the numbers, the Henrys are quite a bit heavier than the Marlins. And I didn't know this, but the Ruger 7744 is a pound less than the Marlins. So the Ruger 77 is like 5.2 pounds, I think. And the Marlins are like 6.4 or something like that. Now, if I got a Marlin, or if I got a lever action, I would probably leave it open sights, because I put a scope on the 357 I got. So I want an open-sided one. So that's probably what I'm going to do if I get a lever action. Now, if I get the bolt action gun, I'd probably stick a scope on it. I don't know. But I can't decide. They're about the same price, give or take. I really like the Marlin SBLs. You know, the stainless, like, and the gray laminate wood on it. I just think those look awesome. And I've always kind of wanted one of those guns in 4570. But I really just, I go back and forth on 4570. Because, like, I don't need one. I mean, need's a strong word, I feel like. I try to not use it. But I got a 458 Win Mag. That'll do everything a 4570 will do and then some. So I don't really need a 4570. And I feel like a 44 Magnum out of a lever gun would do everything I ever needed it to do. So a 4570, like if I got a 44 Magnum and I got the 458, the 4570 would just kind of land in the middle somewhere. And it's not going to do anything either one of those can't do. You know, if I need something bigger than 44, or I'll go 458. If I don't want to carry the 458 around, 44 will do everything short of that. So, I don't know. I just feel like the 44 Magnum and the SBL would probably be the best answer. Because I'll get the gun I've always kind of wanted, but in a caliber that makes a little bit more sense and is a little bit cheaper to shoot and all that. So, that's what I'm leaning towards, either the Ruger 77 or the Marlin SBL. If I got the Ruger 77, I would probably eventually get the SBL and 4570. Just, I ain't got nothing against 4570. It's just kind of a little bit redundant in my specific situation. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you got a Ruger 77 44, you really like it, let me know. Like I said, I'm mainly considering the weight, and I don't have any nice Ruger rifles. I got a Ruger American, but I don't have any of the Hawkeyes or 77s, anything like that. I've always kind of wanted a Ruger bolt action too. So both of those are going to check boxes off my list. Either I'm going to get a nice Ruger bolt action rifle or get a nice Marlin lever action rifle. Either way. So moving on. So this week I got some new stocks. So I got a Magpul MOE stock for my 1022, which is great. I love it. I've wanted one for a couple of years now. And so I wanted the MOE one because that primer didn't get in there all the way. Okay, but I wanted the MOE one because it's smaller and lighter. So here it is right here. Stuck it on a tapered bull barrel 1022 action. I got off of I had a whole rifle. Gonna do a review on it one of these days. But so I wanted the MOE because it's smaller, lighter, and a little bit handier than the Target style stock that they have. I don't know if it's the X22 or something like that. But I wanted a 1022 with a illuminated reticle optic and my suppressor and a weight amount of light to it. So that way I can use it. This can be my clandestine varminter rifle. And this MOE stock, it don't have the M-lock on the sides to mount a light, but it does have M-lock on the bottom. So I just got to get a little M-lock rails section and then like a stream light or something and throw on there. And I'll have just a perfect little midnight critter killer. You know, if there's a coon digging in the trash or, well, I live in town, so I shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, if I'm just out and about or whatever and have this with me in the nighttime hours or I'm close to some places, and I can do some exterminating if need be and not bother anybody. Nobody even know I'm there. And I have the little light and the illuminated reticle so I can still see my reticle. Or I can choose it as a nice blinker. So it's pretty lightweight. I weighed it and it weighs just under 7 pounds in this exact configuration. So if I throw a light on there, it'll be like right at 7 pounds or just barely over. So I'm pretty happy with this setup. This is exactly what I was envisioning. I was thinking about a smaller barrel to save some weight. However, with the weight savings I get from the stock weighed a whole pound less than the stock that was on it. So with the weight savings I get from the stock, it's really not, I mean, considering the barrel, it really weighs about the same as a regular 1022, give or take a little bit. So with that in mind, I don't think it's bad. And I mean, you can just see, I'm just holding it here. It feels pretty lightweight. It's a little front heavy with the suppressor and all that, but it's a good setup. So far, I'm really happy with it. Shot it a little bit yesterday. Got it sighted in with the optic and shot good. And let my kiddos shoot it. They shot it good. So it'll be a good little setup. So the other one I got, so the other Magpul stock I got is the Magpul Hunter for my Bergara 308. This is a Bergara Ridge SP. So what that is it is a Bergara Ridge model. It's got a kind of a tapered heavy barrel, so it's not a full bull barrel, but it's pretty heavy and it tapers down just slightly towards the end. And what the SP is that means it's special purpose. So the regular Ridge has like a 20 or 22 inch barrel. The SP model has an 18-inch barrel. That's what I wanted. So I forgot to mention that stock fits on there. It's not a perfect fit. There's a little bit of a gap where the floor plate sticks out just a little bit. I mean, it's functionally fine, but if that kind of thing bugs you, then you may want to consider something else for your Bergara. So if you got a Remington 700 style action and you want one of those stocks, I've kind of wanted one for a while, but I didn't really want to pony up 200 some bucks for it. But Brownells has a sale going. I don't know if they still got it, but if you want one, you have to get on there and look at it. They're $80 for the short action ones. They had, I guess Remington has them in stock for their factory rifles that they make with that stock, and they had an overrun of them. So Brownells is having a sale on them. They was $80, and the long action ones was $100. So it's not going to get any cheaper than that. So that's why I went ahead and got it, and it's great. I love it. Now it is a little heavier, which on that rifle, that's more of a target rifle for me. I mean, I've killed a few deer with it, but now with that stock on it, it's going to be more of a target rifle. I'll still take it hunting sometimes, just because I think it's cool. But so the added weight isn't a bother, but the stock weighs 20 more ounces than the factory stock, which I was interested in that because I couldn't really find any good weights on the factory Bergara stock versus the Magpul. I mean, there may be some out there, but the factory stock weighed, it was 1 pound 12 ounces naked. That was without the floor plate assembly or anything. And then the Magpul stock weighed right at 3 pounds naked with no floor plate assembly or anything like that. So it weighed 20 ounces more. But now I got a cool looking stock, a little bit more adjustable, a little bit more comfortable. I can stick a light on it if I want to, or whatever, laser, light, whatever. Probably ain't gonna stick a laser on it, but you know, kind of like the idea of throwing a light on there. Or if I get into thermal or night vision, something like that, then I could put on, like if I got a night vision scope for it, I could throw on an IR flashlight on the front of it and have a pretty cool setup. Probably not going to do that anytime soon, but nice to know I got the option. Oh, and so thinking of that, I put that stock on there, and the last time I shot that gun with the regular stock, so I'd worked up a load for it, and it was accurate 2230 powder, kind of an oddball powder. I just had some, always do that. So I had bought some of that accurate 2230 powder just kind of off a whim years ago, and decided to load it in my 308 just see how it did. And it shot really well, surprisingly well. I went to the range one day, and the 100-yard range was hogged up by people all day, so I just shot at 50 yards I was just doing some load testing, so I'm like, well, surely 50 yards I can see if this shoot's worth the flip or not. And my best load, it put all 3 rounds in one hole. Like, I'm not exaggerating. It looked like it wasn't even a clover leaf. It was just like one ragged hole. And I figured even if that was, you know, twice as big at 100 yards, it's still going to be well under half an inch, probably about 1/4 of an inch or so group. So I was really, really happy with it. But then I got my suppressor, and I'm putting my suppressor on it, and I went and shot that exact same load, and it shot like crap all of a sudden. Shot like 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And I thought that was weird. And I tried some loads with Varget the same day. I tried doing a load development with Varget just to see how I liked it with 168 grain Match Kings, and same thing, it shot them all like 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and that gun's never shot bad. Even with factory ammo, it'll shoot sub MOA. So I was kind of surprised, and I thought it was something to do with the muzzle brake I got for my suppressor, or the suppressor just changing what it liked. So I was kind of bummed about that, but when I went to put that stock on it, I went to take the screws out of it, and the front screw was so loose, like it was just tight enough to not be visibly loose. Like I put the Allen screw, or the Allen wrench on it, and it just spun right. It had zero resistance, none at all. So that was my problem. I almost guarantee that was what the issue was, because that was the barrel lug screw. I got this stock put on there, went and shot it just real quick. I just ran out and shot, got it sighted in good enough, and shot a 3-round group with some factory 168 grain Hornady ammo I got, just as like some match grade ammo. And I shot about, well, let me just measure it. I got it right here. So this is my fancy target I was shooting, just a Coke, a Diet Coke box. Okay, so just spitballing it. about an inch and a quarter, just under inch and a quarter group, and it's right there. The box was up on its side, but for 3 shots, and I was just shooting off the bipod in a rear bag, or a rear little squeeze bag, and I was really shaky. I mean, I didn't feel good at all on my shots, but then I went up there and seen it shot that, so I'm very confident if I would have had a solid rest and had a little bit better day, that easily would have been a sub-MOA group. So my problem is solved, thankfully. So if you got a gun that's shooting like crap, I don't know why I didn't think to check it, but check your dang screws. That should have been the first thing I checked, but it happened the same time I put on the suppressor. So I just thought it was something to do with the muzzle brake. Just it didn't like the muzzle brake, or it didn't like the suppressor one, and just really hated it, when really it was just a screw. So I need to just make myself a little checklist of what to do when I'm troubleshooting a gun, so that way I'm not just chasing rabbits like I was trying to do with that. Like, I was fixing to put a new muzzle device on it, try it out. I shot it without the suppressor and the muzzle brake on it, and it still shot like crap. So I'm like, well, it's not the suppressor, I don't think. And the suppressor shoots fine on my 300 blackout. So I should have just checked that in the first place. But anyway, I feel like I've been rambling for a while, so and I'm not even finished what I was trying to do here. But anyway, I'll go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll see you next week. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.